Hello, this is Jamie Magrich. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card. Okay, and it's using color and contour. And then I used this die from Penned Flowers dies, and this die from Sending dies. I have Orchid Oasis, Tahitian Tide, Parakeet Party, and Daffodil Delight, and then Memento Black for my ink. For cardstock, I have a scrap of white big enough to stamp your sentiment on and big enough to die cut with this die. I have another scrap that is black. I believe it's 3/4 of an inch by 6 inches. Could be a little bit longer, that's fine. You're going to trim it off. I have 2 pieces of white, which is 1 1/2 by 3 1/4 inches. 2 pieces of black, which is 1 5/8 by 5 3/8 inches. I have a piece of white, which is 1 3/4 by 4 inches. A piece of black, which is 1 7/8 by 4 1/8 inches. And then my card base, which is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored and folded at 4 1/4. You'll also need a scrap of paper. And let's get started here. Okay, so a larger piece, which is 1 3/4 by 4 inches. We're going to stamp this stamp here. I don't know if you can see it. I'm not sure that helped, but anyway, you'll see it once I stamp it. I'm going to use the Memento ink, and since it's a large block, I'm going to put it on the table and ink it this way. Just makes it a little bit easier for me to control it. Okay, I'm going to stamp that right in the center of this. You might need to turn it just a hair to get it all on, but if it doesn't all go on, that's fine too. Just let it sit there for a second and absorb into the paper. Perfect. Okay, now I'm going to take this stamp, which will fill in those flowers, and the Tahitian Tide ink. I hope I was in frame for all of that, and I'm going to stamp this right over here. Try to line it up, but it's not going to be perfect. That's the way it was designed. Very nice. Okay. I'm not going to stamp the leaves yet because I don't want to get it all dirty yet. I'm going to bring in these 2 pieces. These are the 1 1/2 by 3/4 inch pieces. I'm going to bring in this stamp, and again the Memento ink. And it really doesn't matter which way you stamp it, but I'm going to stamp it once there. See, it hangs off a little bit. This one I'm going to do up here. Okay. I'm going to come in with the Orchid Oasis ink. And the fill-in stamp. And I find the petals that are, these two petals that are together right here, and that's how I line it up. So ink that up, line up those two petals that are together in the center of the flower. When it doesn't line up exactly right, that's fine. Actually, I think it goes this way. It doesn't matter. We're just gonna stamp it. Okay. And we're gonna take the leaves. Stamp one here. Oh, wrong color. I need the black ink. Okay. Stamp one of those leaves down here. One of them up here. And now I'm going to wipe this off. I'm going to flip it over. This is not a reversible, but I'm going to use it as if it is. I'm going to come in with a parakeet party. And just this part, I'm going to try to ink just that up. Okay, I'm going to stamp that in this leaf here. Because it doesn't matter. I think I just did it on this one. See this leaf here where it curves? Okay, and I'm going to wash it off that side. You want to wash it really pretty well so that you don't get any over stamping. And now I'm going to stamp just this other side. Hopefully you can see that. And I'm going to stamp that one there. Then I'm going to use that, oops. I don't want that part inked. Just want this part inked. And I'm going to stamp this one. And this one. Okay. Then I wanted a little bit inside those flowers, so I came in with the Daffodil Delight. And this little stamp, which is supposed to be the fill-in layer for this little bud, but we're going to use it for the center. And we're going to ink that up well, and we're going to stamp it, and then we're just going to hop it around a couple times to fill that center in well. Okay. And then the only other stamping we have to do is the sentiment. And again, we're going to the Memento black ink. We're going to bring this piece in. Our sentiment. Now our sentiment is not from this stamp set. The sentiment, I forgot. You can use a sentiment from there, but I got this one from Encircled in Friendship because I wanted a nice long one. So I'm going to ink this up. Stamp this right in the center of this white scrap. Perfect. Okay, cover this with these inky things off my desk. I'm bringing my mini here. One, two. Okay. Move this. Sorry, the camera's shaking. All right, so now bring in this and this and this die here from the sending dies. Center that up on there. And I am going to use the Post-it note to try to hold it in place, because it does have a tendency to move when you go to put the top plate on. Bring in another piece. Okay. Go ahead and put this on. I'm going to tear this off so it doesn't get in the way of my machine. And I'm going to crank that through. You can see. I'm sorry, it's wiggling. No, it did move a little bit, but I think it'll work anyway. There you go. Okay. And we're going to bring in this piece. And the penned flowers dies. And I want just a little bit, like 1/8 of an inch there. I want to make sure this is all the way on the plate. You see how it's got the edges beveled? It won't cut there, so you want to make sure it's completely covered. I probably should tape this one too. Yeah, I guess I'm going to have to. I'm sorry. This is a little bit fussy part. It's only because I want a straight edge there. I can always trim it off if I need to, but I should have had this done prior to the video, but all right. Now I'm going to need to come in with my snips. I don't know if you can see that right here where it didn't, the paper's just a little bit too long. So I need to come in with my snips and trim that. Take that out. This out of the way. So I just snip it here. And just snip this too. Okay. So now we have all of our pieces, so we can assemble this card. I'm going to start by assembling these layers. So I'm going to take the 1 7/8 by 4 1/8 inch piece of black. I'm going to mount this one on there. Glue. There's not going to be much of a border, very tiny little bit. Okay, I'm going to do the same with these two pieces on these 1 5/8 by 3 3/8 inch pieces. I'm sorry about the eighths, but it was the only way to get it to fit on the front of the card. You could do it whole sizes if you did like a slumline card or something. Okay, now this one needs dimensionals on the back of it. I'm not going to take the backs off yet, so I'm going to bring in my base. I'm building this directly on the base. I guess I'm going to do it on this side. And so I'm going to try to figure out where these are going to go on a rough I don't know what the correct term is, but lay them out approximately. Okay. Normally I tell you to put the edge ones on first, so let's do that. Then you can center the other one in the middle. And I have a leaf going up on one side and a leaf going down on the other, but you can put them both going up if you'd rather. And I'm just kind of eyeballing it, but if you want these to be exact, then I would get a T ruler or something like that, so you can make sure they're straight across. I'm not sure it's going to make a whole lot of difference, but okay, now I'm going to take the backs off of this one. And since I need a little bit of wiggle room, and these stick pretty much right away, I'm going to add just a little bit of wet glue on top of this. Doesn't need the wet glue, but the wet glue helps it to slide just ever so slightly. So if I don't get it in exactly the right spot, I can move it. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, now I'm going to put this piece on. But you notice how it's popped up here, but these would stick off. So I'm going to come in with my dimensionals. And I'm going to use this edge here. There's one edge that's thicker than the other. I guess it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to snip just a couple pieces. And I'm going to put that on these ends. The ends are going to hang off a little bit, so don't put it all the way to the ends. You're going to trim those off. Okay, take the backing off. Put a little wet glue in the center. And figure out where you want this to go. Oh, right there looks pretty good. See, it looks a little crooked. Let's see, I'm going to use this grid paper, or try to. One, two, three, four, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it needs to go up like that. Okay. Alright, then I'm going to turn it over. Clip off those parts that are hanging off. Bring in my sentiment. I'm going to put a little bit of glue across the very bottom edge of it. The top edge just hangs off, so I'm going to go ahead and put that on. Okay. I'm going to bring in some matte black dots. So where's my take your pick tool? It's not in here. Let's see, my cats have played with it. Let's put one on each end. And I'm using the small ones. Okay, then I'm going to bring in some black baker's twine. And I'm going to triple it in length. And I'm going to make a bow. Shoosh it to the size you want it to be. Trim these tails. These are not my ribbon scissors. Come in with a glue dot. Add that right here. Well, there you go. There's the card we just made together. Here's the one I did previously. Thank you so much for joining me today at Jamie's Craft Table. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you can find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper.